Se preparó, se puso linda, su amiga llamaba. Salió de rumba, nada le importó, porque su novio ella le engañó.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am so excited for today's video. I feel like a lot of people have been asking me to do more of these types of videos, so that's what I'm gonna do today. I'm gonna do another story time. I'm so excited. I love my story times. I feel like they kind of let you guys see my perspective as a hairdresser. And so about a month ago, I want to say it's like been 1 or 2 months since I last filmed my story time talking about my client horror story. I actually ended up disabling the comments because it was just getting out of hand, and I'm somebody that gets really easily annoyed with trolls. And I mean, there was a lot of like positivity on that video, but I honestly was just getting so irritated that I just disabled the comments so that I would not have to see the trolls. And even then, I still would have trolls comment on like my other videos and be like, why, like, did you disable those comments? I'm gonna come on here and tell you like what I thought of your story time. So in today's story time, I am going to be doing a little bit of a disclaimer. So if there is any negative comments or anything like that, you will instantly, the comments will instantly be deleted and you will be blocked. I'm just not here for it. I just don't care. Like, I really don't care. And another thing is, these are from my perspective as a stylist. I am young. I'm only 20 years old. I'm a fairly new stylist. I've only been in this industry for like 2 years now, so I am still new. I might be naive, I might be immature, I might be a lot of things, but please, if you have nothing nice to say, then just don't say anything at all. So anyways, let's get into the story time. So the story time has to do with another crazy client. I feel so like mean saying that she was like psycho, but literally, you guys just wait. So it happens to be one of this girl. I was on vacation. She decided to book with me, which is super chill. I had a bunch of people book while I was on vacation for my week that I came back, and she was super chill. She didn't ask me for any pricing or anything. She wasn't one of those people that's like, can I get a price ahead of time or anything? So I was like, cool, bet. Like, she seems like, you know, like a dope client, like whatever. So I go ahead, I put her in my books. She sends me the deposit for the appointment to make sure, you know, ensures that she goes. And that was pretty much it. Like, she shows up, and as soon as she shows up, I should have said no, but I just hate telling people no, and I hate being that person, so I was just like, okay. So she comes in, or she texts me through Instagram, and she's like, hey, I'm running late, my GPS took me on a different route, but I will be on my way. I'm like 20 minutes away and I'll be there like as soon as I can. Chill. She doesn't seem like she's gonna be like a difficult client at all. So she sits in her chair. Instantly she's like, pretty much what I do when they come into the salon. I greet them. I'm like, okay, like my name's so, like come in, sit down, let's talk about your hair, and like let's do like an in-person consultation to see like what you want to do with your hair. So she sits down, it's totally fine, and instantly, so she sits down, I'm like gonna drape her. Normally I drape them before like I listen to what they have to say. I ask them, how's your day been, while I'm draping them, like was the drive bad, whatever, and then that was that. But no, she like turned in her chair as soon as she's got in, and she was like, okay, like I'm gonna tell you exactly what I want to do. So I'm like, okay, like I'm like, let's do this. So she sits down, she starts showing me the picture, and I'm like, oh, okay, like it's a really pretty balayage. And it's more, I want to say, it is a dark balayage, so it's the brown one, but it does have gold pieces in it, which you can tell is a higher level. So all my cosmetologist people out there, we're talking about, she wants something between a level 7 and a level 8 in her hair. So that's pretty light. And when you work with levels 7 and 8 are going to be cooler tones because they're going to be a yellow. So they're not going to be like, oh, they're not going to come out warm. If they're warm, that's probably like 6 and below. So she wanted something that was going to fade into something that was not super like dark. The undertone was not going to be like red and orange. The undertone was going to be more of a yellow tone. So I'm like telling her, I'm trying to explain all of this stuff to her, and I don't think it's processing in her head. I'm trying to like explain the science behind it. And so she starts telling me that she's gone through like 5 different stylists, none of them can get it right, and first she wanted like a red balayage, but she didn't want the undertone to be like an orange, which I tried to explain to her. I cannot control your undertone. That is just science. That is the way, you know, God made us. Like, I can't control that. And so she starts telling me, like, okay, if I were to do this, like, will it fade to a yellow tone? And so I'm like, well, yeah, like, the toner's gonna fade, and unless you come up for touch-ups and toners regularly, your hair is going to, you know, tone, that color's gonna wash out. And then, so she's telling me how she doesn't want it to fade into a yellow tone, and I'm like, well, that's just how it's gonna go. She then shows me more pictures, and I'm just like, okay, well, if you want to be a warm balayage, I can make you warm. So we'll just tone you and keep you down to a lower level, and we'll try not to make you too bright or too ashy, because she wanted to be warm. She didn't want any cool tones or any ashiness. So I was like, okay with that. Like, I can do that. You know, she was going to be a difficult client. Like, even my coworkers were like, damn, like, I would hate to have her, because she seemed like one of those people going to nitpick like every single little thing. Like, every little strand has to be absolutely perfect in her opinion for it to go well and to go smoothly. So I'm like, I know. I'm telling my coworker, like, I know she's gonna be like a difficult client. She has already told me and showed me pictures of what her past stylist did, and what her past stylist did were beautiful balayages. The color is beautiful. It's at a very well-known salon in the area, and I like don't personally know the hairdresser that did her hair, but I did know, you know, the salon she comes from. I did have seen her work before, and she does like a really good job, and she always has really good reviews. So I was like, no, like, I know her hair looks, I know she does a good job. And so as soon as she starts telling me she's gone through like 5 stylists, none of them can do it right, and then she starts telling me that she doesn't want it to fade to a certain level tone, it's probably when I should have said, I don't think this is gonna work out if you can't understand the science behind me doing your hair. You have to trust me as a stylist that I know best. And, you know, it's really not like that difficult. So we'll get further, because this isn't just it. So I'm like, okay, whatever. So she already had some light pieces. The picture that she showed me actually looked a lot like what she had already come in with. It just needed like a toner, I think, and it needed to be brought up a bit more. So I was like, okay, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna bring up your balayage, and then we're just gonna tone it and keep it to like this lower level that you want to stay at. So she's like, okay, sounds good. So I go ahead, do this whole thing. Really sweet person. She's a little cray-cray, but it's okay. You know, I get all kinds of people in my chair. And so she starts, you know, I'm not going to talk about her personal life, but she starts telling me about her personal life and everything. And we're having like a really chill conversation, you know, boys are, you know, boys ain't shit kind of thing. And we're just like talking about like all this stuff. So it's not that big of a deal. I finally come to where I'm toning it, I'm blow drying it, and then she tells me, which you guys, it was a level 7. Which is like what the picture was, and she told me it was too ashy. Fair enough. I was like, okay, too cool tone, because I did put a little bit, for my hairdressers out there, I did put a little bit of like pea in there just so it wasn't so like, because okay, Hispanics, we have a lot of red orange undertones. We have an extra pigment of red in our hair. So most of every single Latina that I have ever met, they don't legitimately want gold. Like, they always say, I want a warm balayage, give me gold. They don't necessarily want gold. They just want a light. Like, even mine would probably be like what they would want. They don't want like a straight up orangey gold. Now, my Caucasian girls out there, if you give them ashy, they're going to come back to you and they're going to complain, because they want a little bit of that tint of gold in there. And I'm not talking like legit like yellow gold. I'm talking like a little bit of a warmer tone. And that's just personal preference. I don't know why it's like that. We always want what we don't have or what we can't have. But Hispanic's just like a nicer tone. So I was like, I'm not going to make this super gold, because then she's going to see orange and then she's going to be like, no, this is like too orange. And it's just going to be a mess. So I put a little bit of there. She said it was too ashy. I'm like, okay, bet. Like, I probably put too much in there. I retoned her. If you guys are hairdressers, I retoned her with a Redken 4WG in the EQ shades, and it is it's a level 4, like it's dark. So I pretty much did like a dark chocolate balayage on her, because I was like, well, it'll lighten up in a few days with a couple of washes, you know, so it'll probably most likely be around what she wants. Because honestly, you guys, with all the pictures she was showing me, they were all so different. I tried to kind of get like, what do you really like within each picture, and she really couldn't explain it. Literally sat there for a good 20-30 minutes talking about like trying to explain the science between undertones. Like, you cannot have everything. You can't have a gold, you know, a beautiful light colored picture and not want it to end up fading yellow, but you want it to fade orange. Like, that's just not possible. So I'm trying to explain this. I'm like, okay, well, just trust me. Let me, like, just do something with your hair instead of just wasting time. We've been talking about this forever. You're very indecisive. I just need you to make up your mind, because if not, like, you're wasting my time. Like, this is something that you should have done at home and gone through your pictures and found a picture that you really, really like, and then come to me with one picture and be like, okay, this is why I like it and this is kind of like what I want, instead of showing me, like, you know, like a brown one and then a blonde one and being like, I don't know which one I like, and then going back and forth for 30 minutes with these two pictures. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Pick what you want to wear and then I'll let you know if it's possible, kind of thing. This is where it gets freaking crazy and I'm just like, just go. Like, I'm over it. She goes to the thing and she's like, it seems kind of dark, don't you think? First she said it was too ashy, which she was like, it's just too light, too ashy. It's too light. So I'm like, okay, I toned it darker. And now she's saying it's too dark. So I'm like, oh, you know, it's gonna fade with a couple of washes. Let's go out in the natural lighting. The lighting's really bad in here because it's already getting late and dark and we don't have like a ton of windows. So I'm like, let's go outside. And it's still, it was like golden hour. So I was like, let's go outside so you can see your hair and wear it for a week and then let me know if you like it. If not, we can like retone it. So she's like, okay, so we go outside. I started to take pictures. We did take her to where it was shady, so it was going to be more of a cool tone, kind of ash. I take the pictures. I'm like, oh my god, it looks so good. Typically, that's what I go for. I like the beige tones, so I kind of like to play with my lighting and make it more of a cool tone. So I'm like taking pictures of it. She's like, oh my god, it actually looks ashy in this picture. And so she starts looking at it and I'm like, well, we're in the shades and we're in like cool tone lighting, so it's gonna look cool tone. And she was like, wait, it's not gonna look the same in every lighting? And I was like, no, like inside the salon we have you know, the LED lights, so they're like, you know, white lights, so they're gonna look white, you know, like it's gonna be more of a cool tone because we don't have yellow golden lights. If we had yellow golden lights, it would be more yellow and pull more of a warm color, you feel me? Like, science. And she was like, oh. So then we go to, like, we're walking and it's golden hour. It's like probably like, I want to say like 7 o'clock at nighttime. So we're walking and I'm like, let me take a picture of what it looks like here so I can show you. And so it's red tone, so obviously it's reflecting off of her hair, so it looks more of a reddish tone. So I show her a picture of the shade and that, and she's like, that's so crazy that it doesn't look the same in every lighting. And I'm like, yeah, like, like, I don't know, like, that's just how the world works, like, science, like, I don't really know, like, that's just how it works. Whatever is, like, reflecting off of your hair is kind of the tone that it's gonna give it. And she's like, that's crazy. So I'm like, okay, just wear it for a week, let me know, whatever. So she's like, okay, bet. She pays me, she leaves. It wasn't, but like literally 2 or 3 days later, she DMs me and she's like, hey, I definitely need to retone it. It's too dark. My birthday is on Friday, so I really need to get in before. Mind you, she's messaging me like on a Tuesday, Wednesday. So she's literally only giving me 2 days to refix and retone her hair. I do give like a week span of, if you don't like the tone, we can definitely retone it, but I like to give them at least a week of wearing it just so that they can see what the color is going to be, because like I said, with washes and within a few days the tone's gonna change, the toner will fade a little bit. Toner is kind of like a darker version of what it will be after you've washed it a couple of times. So I'm like, oh my god, okay, fine. So I tell her, like, I'm booked up this week, like totally booked up. I will be here for 10 hours in the day. Like, I seriously don't have anywhere to squeeze you. I'm one of those people, I'm not fast. I'm not. And I'm really not, like, I don't have an assistant. And I don't like to feel like I'm being rushed. I don't like to rush anybody. I like for everybody to feel like they have time and they're with me and I'm not rushing it, and my mind and my brain is not scattered and split into a bunch of different ways. I want them to feel confident that I know what I'm doing and I, you know, like, I got this. I have this girl coming in. If you want, I can retone you. It'll be fine. you have to come in with this within this certain time. So she's like, okay, okay. Girl had booked with me. So I had her in the afternoon. So I'm like doing her hair. This girl ends up texting me. She's like, hey, running late again. And another conversation that was like 15-20 minutes where she doesn't understand the undertone. So she's showing me different pictures now of what she wants, and they're totally completely different tones. They're tones that she needs to be a couple of shades, you know, a couple of levels lighter. This is totally a different service. So she's telling me like, it's fine if I have to pay you some more money, but I really want to do my hair like this now. And so I'm telling her, I'm like, okay. So mind you, her birthday's on a Friday. This is on a Thursday night that this is happening. And I'm telling her, I'm like, girl, like, I thought you were coming in for a toner. I didn't know that you wanted to go lighter. If you want to go lighter, that's going to be a whole balayage. And I have this girl, and she has really long hair. I need to pay attention, and, you know, like, I'm not going to rush her because she paid money, and, like, I'm not going to rush her because you give me a deadline of your birthday that you want to change your mind all of a sudden. So I'm like, girl, I'm sorry, but, like, I can squeeze you in, but just know, like, I'm not going to give my full attention to you because I'm juggling you guys. She's like, that's fine, that's fine. So I'm like, okay, well, I was like, let me finish foiling her and then we'll do a partial. So I convinced her, instead of doing a full thing, we were just gonna do the little mohawk section and do a partial because she didn't want a toner. She wanted to be lighter because apparently she was really light to begin with. It was too light, so she made me tone her down, and now she's toned down and she wants to be a couple of levels lighter. So I'm like, okay. So I'm like, okay, come back. And so I'm rinsing her, I'm putting the toner. I'm like, girl, like, at this point, I know I shouldn't be like this, but when you get people like this and you're irritated and you're just over the day and you're just so annoyed because in the middle of me doing all the colors, like doing all this stuff, she just keeps showing me different pictures. And I'm like, girl, like, we need to figure out exactly what you want to do because I don't have time to be going back and forth. Like, I have a whole nother client and you're over here showing me like 5 different pictures of different tones because you don't know what you want and you're indecisive and it's irritating me, giving me a headache. Like, I really need you to figure your life out. So then at one point she starts tugging on her hair. Once I take the foils out, I'm like, I'll be right back. Let me go mix up your root smudge and your toner, and I will be back and we will do your hair. And mind you, throughout this appointment, I'm going to like add a couple of things that were happening throughout this appointment that it just made me dislike this girl more and more. And I don't think she knew that I really was getting irritated with her because she was just getting on my nerves. I'm human. I cannot be professional 24/7. Like, stuff like this irritates me. I'm like chilling because they're both processing. So I'm just like, you know, talking to them. And she's like, I actually thought you were going to be like a heavy set girl. And I'm like, wait, what? And she's like, on your little profile picture on on Instagram, she's like, your face is just really round in that picture. And she's like, there's nothing wrong with heavy set girls. I just thought you were going to be bigger. And she's like, and you're actually really small and really petite in person. And I'm like, I just met you a few days ago when I did your hair for the very first time, and you're gonna come in here and kind of like give me a backhand compliment and be like, I thought you were gonna be a big girl, but you're really cute and you're small, and like, I don't know, like, it, like, is that, like, I don't know, to me that was so rude. You don't tell somebody that you just met, like, not even somebody that I've known for a long time. I wouldn't be like, I thought you were gonna be a big girl because your picture makes you look fat. Like, I don't, what? And she was like, you should update your picture to look more like what you look. She's like, in person your face is actually really slim and you're actually really skinny in person. And she's like, I thought, you know, on your picture and your bio and everything, she's like, I actually thought you were going to be a bigger girl. She's like, there's nothing wrong with bigger girls, like, you know. And I'm like, what? So I'm playing it up. I'm just kind of laughing, like, oh, you know, like, like, oh, maybe I should update my picture, like, oh, that was your first impression, like, whatever. She's like, I just couldn't believe that, like, when you came up to me and you were so small and petite that you were my stylist, you just don't look like your picture. I have since then, you guys, changed my picture, not because of her, just because my old picture, I had dark hair, and now I'm, like, really blonde, so I wanted to update it anyways. But I was like, this girl, like, the audacity to tell me that she thought I was gonna be be like a bigger girl and then to backhand compliment it and then be like, oh no, but you're so cute. Like, what? Like, even if I was a big girl, like, you don't, what? I'm confused. Like, how was that even, like, why would you say that? So I'm like, okay, whatever. She had it processed 3 months prior, and then I had colored it a few days before, and then again we were going in with lightener, so she was already really light. So I was like, your hair's really fragile, don't touch it, because if you tug on it, like you're full on tugging on it and it's wet and we just processed it, you're gonna rip out your hair. Like, your hair's fragile, don't touch it while it's still wet. I don't even recommend that after the first session. Like, if you're lightening your hair and you're already in the higher levels, like you're a level 8 and up, like don't pull on your hair while it's wet. Like, you're gonna yank it out. She's just like pulling on it and she's literally going like, and then she's like having pieces fall out. I'm like, yeah, if you're gonna tug on it, like it's gonna come out. Like, if you're not careful with it. I wouldn't even brush your hair that rough with how she was just like going like this and be like, oh my gosh. She's like, look at these little pieces. So I did tell her, I was like, you know what, when you go blonde, and I hate to tell people this, but when you go really blonde and you're doing a lot of processes really fast, your hair is gonna have some breakage. It is. I can't say your hair is gonna be perfect and none of it's gonna fall out. Like, you're gonna have breakage plus your natural like hair that comes out naturally, okay, from shedding. It's just a little bit's gonna happen. You're so light, your hair's not used to being that light, you have processes so close together, there's gonna be a little bit of breakage. So she's like freaking out. It really wasn't even that much, you guys. Like, I'm literally telling you, like, it's less than my brush. Like, girl, like, your hair's wet, we've processed it very close together, you're a very high level, we've taken out all the pigment in your hair is not used to being like this. Like, your hair needs some time to relax. Don't stress it by pulling on it. And so she's like, oh my god, I'm sorry I freaked out. Like, that makes sense. And I'm like, oh my god, this girl, like, she's literally gonna drive me crazy. So I start putting the like toner in. I'm like, okay girl, stay here, I'm gonna rinse my other client out. So I'm like, the toner's gonna sit there for like 20-25 minutes, just chill. So she's like, okay. And so when I go to see her, I'm like telling my coworker, I was like, hey, I have to blow dry this girl. She has hair down to her waist. Can you go get her and rinse her and style her out for me? I'll pay you, like, whatever. Just get her out of my hair for a little bit. Because I have another client and I don't want to juggle them. So if you can help me out, I'll pay you. We're good. And I mean, it was nothing serious. Like, I had already done all the hard work. I've already foiled her. I already rinsed it. I had put the toner on already. I'd mixed it up and everything. And now she was literally just processing. So all she needed to do was be rinsed and bye. So tell me why. When I'm like, okay, just do this. And she's going like this. She's like, it's not fully saturated. I'm like, you've been sitting here for 20-25 minutes. That toner isn't going to be super, super wet. It's going to dry and it's going to be stick. If you've ever colored your hair before, like, some people, like, it gets hard. It gets sticky. And I'm like, I think I'm the professional. I think I know how much toner to put on your hair. I think I know how to tone you. I think I know how much to saturate it. I've been doing this for a minute. You're not my first client. So I'm like, you know what? So I told my coworker, I was like, can you go mix up some more just so she can shut up? I was like, go mix up some more, give it to her, and tell her bye. And so she's like, okay. So she does that. She rinses it out. She styles her and everything. And I finally was like, you know what? She's going to go ahead and finish you off. So I think at this point, even my coworker was like, I think at that point she realized that you were kind of fed up with her already. And I could hear them talking. They ended up knowing mutual friends. I could hear her talking about, you know, all this stuff. And my client's like, oh my god, she's literally psycho. Like, even my boyfriend thinks she's crazy because they're like overhearing her and she's not making any sense of what she wants, how she wants it. Then she's trying to tell me how to do my job. And the boyfriend, my client's boyfriend, was like, how much are you going to charge her? You need to charge her a lot because she's complicated and she's doing the most. And I'm like, I don't even know. Like, I know I need to charge her for a partial. And she, I don't know, she thought she was going to get off on it, but I was like, no, she's going to be charged. On the other side of the thing, and I could hear her being like, I think it's a little too light now. And I was like, oh my god, I hate this girl. Like, literally, nothing you do, she will never be pleased. I think she just wants a bunch of free services. Like, retone it. I was like, I'm done retoning it. I've retoned it 3 times for this girl and she's not satisfied. I think at this point it's like clear enough to say, like, maybe I'm just not the stylist for you. We're just not going to be compatible. I don't think that we're gonna be any good together. Like, I just don't think this is gonna be good. I'm like, oh, you know, it's pretty, whatever. She was telling me how she wanted her hair to be, looks like it's blonde in the dark. That was kind of the whole concept of what this whole thing was, is that she told me she works in really dark lighting and she didn't want it in the daylight to be too light. She wanted it to be dark in, she wanted it to be dark in the daylight but super light to where you could tell it was blonde at nighttime. Pretty much the whole thing that just irritated me, that I was like, that's just not possible. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, literally doesn't make any sense. How do you want it to be dark in the light but light in the dark? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, you need to be like, even my hair looks dark in the nighttime because it's dark. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. So after she started talking about all this nonsense, I was like, I've already lightened you. Like, I'm in the middle of this whole process, so I might as well just tone you, hope for the best, hope you like it, and just say bye and just never do your hair again. So that's pretty much how it ended. I ended up taking pictures of it, and I was like, I like to take pictures not only for myself, but just to have proof of, no, it looked good when you left. Don't try to come at me sideways and be like, oh, it looked terrible. Like, no, it looked good when she left. And I was like, girl. And then at the end, she was like, my hair actually feels really good. And I was like, yeah, because you literally did not have that much breakage. I mean, you're gonna have a little bit of breakage. Like I said, you're going really light, but it was nothing like crazy out of the ordinary. Like, it was something that just comes when you're going really light and you've processed your hair a lot. So I was like, girl, yeah, I told you, right? Like, your hair still feels good and all this stuff. And she's like, yeah. She's like, I don't know why I doubted you. And I'm like, girl, I don't know why you doubted me either. Like, I don't know. And I did charge her how much, or I did tell her, I'm gonna tell you guys my pricing for it because, like, whatever. So for a partial, I do charge $150, and that is like a full-on partial. So we're doing all the mohawk, pretty much half the head, right? And I charged $150 for a full partial. And I felt bad for her just because it was kind of a fix. I was going to tone it for free, but since she wanted to do a partial, I kind of lowered the price for her. So I was like, I'm only going to charge you $100 for the partial. She was like, that's a lot. And I'm like, that's my pricing, okay? So I'm sipping on this drink, right? I'm just like, and she's like telling me, she's like, that's a lot. She was like, and the first time it wasn't the tone I wanted. And then she was like, and this time, you know, like the little bit of breakage and stuff. And like, she's like, that's a lot. That would mean like I paid almost like $300 in total for my hair. And I'm like, you're the one that was having issues with what you wanted. Like, you came to me with several different pictures. I tried to get you to pick one. You finally pick one. You decide you didn't like that picture after all because she's so indecisive. Comes back, changes her mind like 2 or 3 times, but while I'm doing her hair, mind you. I mean, some people can be like, well, it's your fault because you didn't do a good consultation. I tried as thoroughly as I possibly could to get her to make up her mind. But when she finally made up her mind, she changed it again while we had already done the whole hair, and she decided she wanted it to be different. So it wasn't the consultation. I did fine with the consultation, okay? It literally was, she changed her mind at the end of that one and then in the middle of the other one. You know what? I just was over it. I was irritated. It literally was 9 o'clock at night. I had an hour to drive back home. I was so over it because I had to fit her into my schedule, and that wasn't part of my plan, so I was even more tired. And so I was like, you know what, just pay for the products and whatever. And I was like, I'm just gonna charge you $75, even though I normally charge $150. But, you know, I already had lowered it $50 for her. And then she decided to complain and be like, well, you know, whatever. Even though she liked it in the end. Liked it. I don't know if she did like it. She might have, you know, whatever. And I was like, fine, I'll like, you can pay like $75 and just whatever. She's like, okay, thank you so much, blah, blah, blah. And that was it. Later to find out, I really think that she just did most of this because I am young and I am kind of impressionable, and I feel like people think that they can take advantage of me because I'm so young and I'm not as experienced as other stylists. And maybe that is kind of the case with this girl. Like, she thought she could like kind of get me to lower my prices, do what she wants, kind of make me fix it as many times as she wanted me to, even though I wasn't really fixing anything. Everything looked good. She just was a psychopath. But, you know, that comes with the industry and that comes with the job. You're going to deal with all kinds of different types of people. And this video is just for entertainment purposes only. It's not for anything of me complaining about my life. I love being a stylist and I like what I do, and I understand, you know, like, I'm not perfect. I am going to tone it a different shade, the wrong shade, and they're gonna come back and I'm going to, you know, retone them and like pretty much fix it. But no, this case was definitely interesting, especially with her little comments about me being a heavier girl, or like saying that I had a slim face and she thought I was gonna be a big girl, like just stuff like that. That was just kind of like inappropriate. I love you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel so you guys can always know whenever I upload new videos. And with that being said, I love you guys so much, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.
Se preparó, se puso linda, su amiga llamaba, salió de rumba, la Dali voltó.